Okay, I would just like to start with the amazing news that my father-in-law came home from the hospital today. B'chazdei Hashem, miracle of miracles. Anyone that has been watching this saga from the very beginning knows that it's nothing short of gigantic nace, and halavai weiter, as we say, that he should just continue to have a refuah shlema, complete recovery. We left off over here in the Haggadah, and we're holding by the Rasha, by the wicked son. And he asks his question, and he puts down the mitzvahs, and he puts down the Seder, and he puts down Yitzias Mitzrayim. And then it says in the Haggadah, since that he removed himself from the klal, from the masses, or from the community of believers, as he translates over here, so Kaifer Be'ikr, he denies the very basic principle, so of Yiddishkeit. So Rav Chaim says the following idea: if a person denies one mitzvah in the Torah, it doesn't make them a Kaifer Be'ikr. It doesn't make them someone that denies the major principle of Yiddishkeit. Okay, so they don't want that mitzvah. It's not a good thing that they should do. Everybody should accept all the mitzvahs and love all the mitzvahs, and even when it's difficult, we push ourselves. But if a person denies one mitzvah, it doesn't mean that he denies all kol Torah kula. He says, however, when the wicked son comes along, and he denies the very essence of Yitzias Mitzrayim, which is the Exodus from Egypt, which itself is the entire story of Klal Yisrael, which is the formation of our nation, which is the shibud, which is the struggles that we had in the formation of our nation, and eventually the Exodus, the Geula, the redemption that we had, that is who we are. And if a person doesn't accept Yitzias Mitzrayim as being the emes, as being the truth, then they don't accept what it means to be a Jew. Because our entire nationhood and our entire existence and our entire religion is based upon the Geula, the slavery, and the redemption, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saving us, and the Jewish people coming and surviving that ordeal. So therefore, says the Haggadah, if somebody, this wicked son over here, comes along and he's Hayitzias Atzmo min HaKlal, he removes himself from the general community of those that believe in this being the starting point of all of Klal Yisrael, so then we say that you removed yourself and you're kaifer be'ikr, you are someone who denies the basic fundamentals and tenets of what it means to be a Jew. Going on a little bit in the children, we come to the Tom, the one who is the simple son, and we come to the She'eni Yidei Lisha, the one who doesn't know how to ask any questions. So what do we tell him? At psachla, you open up the conversation, you begin to teach him. V'gadata levincha b'yoymahu leimor. And it quotes a verse over here that says, V'gadata levincha, you should tell your son on that day. So Rav Chaim points out over here that the word v'gadata is a lashon, a language of Haggadah, and there are two ways to say over in Hebrew. Either you can say the word magid, to tell over, or you can say leimor, to say. And the difference between Haggadah and Amira is that Haggadah is a stronger language, and Amira is a more delicate, gentler language. Like we know the pasuk says, when we were receiving the Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, go and tell the women in a gentle language, the Sagid, and go and tell in a stronger language the Beis Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, to the men. So he says, why are we telling over this son who can't even speak right now, can't even without opening up the conversation? Why in such a strong language are we using over here? He says, because the point is that we want everyone to understand the night of the Seder by the Haggadah, that you've got to be forceful in the way that you're telling over the story of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Somebody who is a Maimin, who believes strongly in the Rebbeinu Shalom, somebody who relishes in our victories, who relishes in our salvation, who sees all the suffering and the struggles, but sees that we came out on top. So then a person understands and appreciates what it means to be a Jew. You got to tell it over by the Seder with conviction. You can't just leaf through the pages and tell over apologizing that we killed so many Mitzrayim and that there was so many of this and there was blood in this. No, it's got to be done with a bread, with a fire, and with a conviction and with a pride that this is the history of our nation. A little bit more, he skips over here. It says that v'achshav, we know that we were mitchila oivdei avodah zarah. In the beginning, we were idol worshippers, and then it says v'achshav. However, now kavanu amokim la'avodah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought us close to His avodah, to His service. So he brings from Rav Aaron Leib Steinman the following question. He said, "How come Klal Yisrael is not mentioned over here for all of that which we ourselves did? We know that in the beginning they were Oivdei Avodah Zarah, and that goes back to the days of Avram Avinu, the generation of that time. How about the fact that Avram Avinu, at the age of 3 years old, went on a search for the Ribbono Shel Olam? It took him 37 years of his life to finally recognize the Creator and the Master of the universe, and as a result of that, he shifted the world and the direction that history was going in, and we became a world that was ma'aminim, that believed in Hashem. How about the fact, as he writes over here, that the Avos HaKadoshim, our great forefathers, they all did their best also to uphold that which Avram did. They were fighting against the world and against the culture and against society. And yet the Haggadah mentions nothing about the efforts that we put in. The Haggadah only mentions that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that brought us close to Him. What about our efforts down here in this world? So he says, there's a famous Gemara, and the Gemara says that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not help us to fight off the Yetzer Hara, so then we would never be matzliach, we would never succeed in overcoming the spiritual battles in our life. And therefore he writes that even if a person fights a good battle, and they find ways to go around and to battle plans to be able to overcome and combat the Yetzer Hara, we all have to acknowledge and recognize, would it not be for the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is oizer, helps a person, we would never be able to overcome these spiritual enemies that are lurking around the world, whether they be in the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, whether it be the pressures of society around us, we would never be able to overcome. So at the end of the day, the Haggadah is teaching us this very essential lesson. And that is, it really is HaKadosh Baruch Hu that brought us close. Because even on Avram Avinu, as giant as he was, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not have given him the power, if he wouldn't have given that special neshama, if he wouldn't have given the shtolz, the hard work, that he was able to go and push through 99.9% of the generation that was believing in idol worship and the like, so then he would never have been able to reach that place where he became a maimin, a believer in Hashem. And so too he says in all the generations, we try, we do our best, we have to put in our greatest amounts of effort to combat and overcome Yetzer Haras and the pressures of the world around us. But at the end of the day, if we're going to succeed, it's only because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's giving us the siyui, He's giving us the help to reach the achievements and to reach the goals, our spiritual goals that we have in mind. Okay, we'll stop over here in the Haggadah today, and we'll continue Be'ez Hashem tomorrow.